I felt like destroyed. I felt like my life has ended.
Nouran, how did you find carnivore?
Yes, it was a long story. I graduated from medicine school, and I studied medicine for 20 years. I studied medicine all my life, and I was much. I believe in all the medical science and all the advice they give. And I was very naive, thinking like people out there in the world are doing research to help others and finding the truth, doing real job, real work to help cancer patients. And I was very naive and like, and I was believing in everything that I was studying so much. My parents were doctors, both were doctors, and my mom was a scientist, researcher, very intelligent. And we used to have food, organic food, um, and both of them died of some things related to carbohydrate metabolism and toxicity and lack of proper detox. So uh, I moved from my country and moved to another country. So I had to be like dependent on myself, doing the cooking, doing everything on my own. So I was reading the food pyramid that I should have 5 different fruits or vegetables per day. So I was getting these things. And I had a medical condition called vitiligo, which is very disfiguring. Yeah. It's basically loss of skin pigmentation. And it was a sudden kind of hit. Despite me doing all the good things in terms of diet, reducing sugars, eating fruits and vegetables, and then suddenly I found myself like being disfigured, and it was terrible. I felt terrible. I was extremely depressed. I felt like I don't want to live in my body anymore. I was, and I had a lot of spots all over my face, even in my neck. And then I went to my doctor, dermatologist. He told me that I should live with it. There's nothing to do about it, and it's going to go. It's going to like be all over my body. And then he gave me steroid, oral tablets, steroid, and also radiation therapy. I got much worse. It was a horrible situation. It was like a nightmare, and I did not, I didn't like imagine myself being disfigured, especially that I'm used to be, it was kind of a nightmare, horror movie for me. And then I went to my, I found carnivore videos at that time, but I said, no, this is not, this is impossible. I mean, red meat is inflammatory, as I used to tell patients. We have to eat fruits and vegetables. We can't live without carbohydrate. Carbohydrate is, and then I just continued doing all the things in the leaflet about vitiligo in terms of the diet. I go into supermarket, buy all the fruits and vegetables, different colors, and then I got extremely worse. And then I said, I, I had to fasting, dry fasting, which I was doing it anyway. And then in this month of dry fasting, I didn't buy any fruits and vegetables. I was too much kind of tired and sick, and said, I'm going to give up this in this fasting period. I dramatically improved. My face healed completely without anything, without creams, without anything. Just because I didn't buy the fruits and vegetable.
So, in that specific month, had you started carnivore yet?
I start this is yeah, this was last year, in just after my diagnosis in July. And then I was diagnosed in July 2023. And then from July 2023 till July 2024, I was doing ketovore, kind of like eating vegetable and meat. I improved, but I had a relapse last year in July. and it was all over my face, and I felt horrible. And it was on my neck as well. So in my upper body at the back. And at that time I was doing ketovore, kindish of, but still keeping the dairy and gluten. Dairy, I'm still keeping the dairy. So I had the relapse, horrible relapse. Then I started questioning what it is. I don't know. Like what we studied is not the real, is not the truth. And I remember going into med school and then seeing the brain, the human brain, it's full of fat. It's basically a fatty organ. So when they say don't eat fat, don't eat carnivore, don't eat meat, we are formed of fat, and we are as humans basically made of some fat, some meat, some red meat, protein, and some water and electrolyte and some trace elements. So I used to trim all the fat, and I started questioning. I mean, is this true? Why carbohydrate is essential? We didn't study about essential carbohydrate. We studied essential amino acid, essential fatty acids. But carbohydrate is just something which is temporary, stored in the liver and for energy production. So I started questioning this. I started searching about metabolic theory of cancer and how my father died of cancer, and he was eating a lot of sugars, telling me before exams you have to eat sugars. Uh, Glucose is the only fuel of the brain. Uh, and then they were trying their best to feed me the things that I was not tolerating in terms of either milk or dairy or sugars. So I started questioning all these things, and I realized that most of my family died of because of glucose metabolism intolerance. Most of them died of either diabetes, they had diabetes, they had cancers. After reading about metabolic theory of cancer and about glucose metabolism and detox mechanisms, I found that most human beings are intolerant to glucose because most of them have heart problems, cardiac problems, glucose, diabetes, and most of them they don't have the detox to detox all the toxins. I mean, they're not supposed to detox all this, which is basically in the fruit and veggie.
Just to clarify, you started kind of ketovore July 2023, and you
Yeah,
went through to July 2024. And during that time, the vitiligo went
improved
away.
improved dramatically, and then I had a relapse. I had to travel, so I had to eat in the during my travel. And I ate. I also had some dairy in it, and then I had a horrible relapse. This was in July 2024. Then from July 2024 to November, I was trying to eliminate everything, but I kept some kind of nuts in my food, some, and then and also manuka honey I kept. And then only in three around 100 days ago, I started pure lion diet, and dramatic improvement. I don't have anything in my face. I don't have to cover my face.
That was going to be my question. So you've been back on it for 100 days after this relapse. During the time that you were off, it came back, but it doesn't look like you have anything. Like, are you wearing makeup or it just all
No,
went
no.
away?
When I was on a ketovore, it came back, but a little bit of change in color.
Mhm.
Previously, I went to a shop to buy a very heavy makeup. I'm not wearing any makeup now, but previously, like when I had this, I went to a shop and I bought the most, the most covering makeup you can think of, and it didn't cover it. And I was crying in the shop, like telling the lady who's selling me the stuff, "Can you see it?" She says, "Yes." I was crying, like, "Can you see it?" She says, "Yes, I can." So I was like shying away. I was covering all my face. I even was covering my body. And then the makeup was everywhere, and I felt horrible. But after doing keto, it came back as a relapse, but very minute. You can't see it properly. And then after doing lion diet, now it's my face completely healed, my neck as well. I'm not putting any makeup, and I feel so happy. I mean,
This is amazing because vitiligo is bad enough
Yes.
anywhere on your body, but when it's on your face and neck, you can't get away from that at all, right? It's just it's
No.
there. So it's so it's just horrendous having it like that, right? Because you can't hide it.
You can't hide it. You can't go swimming. You can't meet friends. You can't. You try. You can't go in the sun. You can't. Even when I was having it, I tried to tattoo, putting like temporary tattoos to cover it, and then people started looking, and they. I mean, if they find out, they start like they start rebelling you. They don't want to meet with you. They don't want to talk to you anymore. Well, you did nothing, but they don't like. Uh, I felt rejected when I had it. If someone noticed, I felt so much rejected, and I felt bad, like to the point that I was thinking of like I don't want to live in this human body anymore. But after doing keto for even when it came back very kind of very light that you can't if you focus enough you can notice, and I was able to cover it with makeup. But now after doing the line diet, my face completely healed, and my neck also. uh, there's a little bit in there, but you can't properly see it except if you really focus. So it was a tough situation. And being medical, I studied medicine for 20 years. I was immersed in the medical, and my parents were doctors. All my family were professors in university, and they were very intelligent people, but very depressed, extremely intelligent, but very depressed. And I think because of the effect of glucose on the human on the and lack of nutrients, um, can lead to depression, and can lead to lack of proper nutrition to the brain, can lead also to depression. And then glucose interfere with the neurotransmitter in the brain, leading to different problems. So I think most of my family either with glucose intolerance and also they have lack of proper detox mechanism. So it's just an elimination of all the toxins and giving the proper nutrients to the human brain. And then the IQ, I even checked my IQ when I was eating carb diet. It was 110. I rechecked it now, it's 137. So like I got smarter. I am more intelligent while dealing with the workload with patients. I mean, I am more intelligent, more focused, more quick. I previously I had a brain fog, and I was like depressed. I mean, I had panic attacks when I was sitting in clinic seeing patients. I panicked. I was panicked, like to the point I was like sweating, palpitation, heart racing. I was panicking from patients. And then when I working in ED as well, I was panicking from patients. Like I remember seeing a patient and he was having a heart attack. I panicked. I felt I was in full sweating and panic. And he was kind to the point that he started telling me, "Doctor, don't worry, I'll be fine." And brain fog, unable to concentrate, uh, even unable to articulate what I'm saying.
And now all that's just
All
gone,
that's
like
gone. All that's gone. Yeah. So it's basically giving the brain the nutrients he needs and eliminating the stuff which interfere with the neurotransmitter, eliminating glucose, and giving the brain the proper nutrient, which are basically it's a part of our body. I mean, I used to tell patients, red meat is inflammatory. How come? We are made of red meat. Like we are some kind of fat and red meat and water.
what is your diet like day to day? How many times are you eating?
I eat like twice a day. Sometimes I eat 3 times a day, but I keep the fasting period like 8 hours fasting, and then sometimes more 18-hour fasting. And I eat basically just meat. I also eat a lot of fish, seafood, a lot of seafood. I try to find the one which is like from the farmer market, the pure ones with no mercury, and try. And also the meat, I try to find the most grass fed kind of meat. I don't eat any egg, any kind of chicken, but I eat eggs, pasture-raised eggs. Um, and I use a lot of Himalaya salt, anti-inflammatory spices. I use a lot of butter. I use ghee. I make my own ghee, and I feel great. I feel like a
No.
new person being born. I mean, out of this, I feel much different than like myself, like discovering myself. Uh, Despite that graduating from mid school, achieving high scores, but I was always depressed person. And after getting this vitiligo, I was kind of, I felt like destroyed. I felt like my life has ended. Yeah.
And, so do you notice as you do your job now, you feel like maybe you've got more strength or you can think better and all that kind of thing?
Yeah, I was diagnosed with ADHD at the age of 35. I'm now 38. And I was extremely, I felt like I'm having early dementia. I don't know. I felt like I was trying to research what's happening to me. I didn't know. My short-term memory was horrible, extremely horrible. I was writing every detail for anyone I'm seeing patient in a small piece of paper to remember, because I was like fish memory. Like the nurses was joking out of me. Do you have a fish memory? What happened to you? You forgot what you have seen like few minutes ago. And I was searching this, and I was thinking maybe I have early dementia. What's happening to me? And then I find out that this kind of ADHD diagnosis, they diagnosed me with ADHD. So I started taking the medicine called Concerta, and I felt horrible. I felt extremely horrible, but at that time I had like my job was at risk, so I was terrified of losing my job. Uh, I didn't know what to do. I said I was like I have to work. I have to, because I don't have my parents anymore. They both died. So I can't like go to some uncle and say, help me. My uncle, he will not help. He's still not my parents. I mean, no one is like the parents. So I started taking this Concerta, and I felt horrible, and I couldn't sleep. And then, and even at that time, I developed the vitiligo because I was on Concerta. I couldn't sleep. My job was at risk. I was threatened to be fired. And because I didn't know what to do, so I was isolated, and I just moved from country to another country. So I didn't have much support, but I have family support back home, but just calling them, but I can't like face to face. No one is. So I was isolated and started searching about this and started looking to videos on the internet. And at that time, I found out about this kind of diet change, and I found something strange that um, every time I used to have something sugary or with carbohydrate in it, I felt irritable. So, so I think ADHD is a kind of glucose spikes causing this kind of irritability, lack of concentration, and then when you give glucose, which is not normally there in the body, so the body try to metabolize it, but there's failure in the metabolism leading to precipitation in the and interference with the neurotransmitters affecting the short-term memory and causing irritability, lack of focus, brain fog. So when I managed to do pure lion diet, my glucose was very much stable, and my JKI index, glucose ketone index, was in a very high therapeutic range of therapeutic ketosis, and my brain fog just it's not there anymore. My memory is much better, and I feel like I'm improving it day after day, and I can see it in my skin, this improvement. I can see, because if there is inflammation in one organ, there is inflammation everywhere. So, I mean, people with different illnesses, They have different kinds of inflammation, but if it's in one organ, it doesn't mean that the other organ is okay. Like if I'm having inflammation in the skin, it means that the brain is inflamed. It means that other organs are inflamed, but to a lesser degree that it didn't show up because we have a great genius human body. After doing this, I see that I feel like my mental health is better, my brain fog is better, my memory is better. I try to tell patients this, but I can't say it frankly because of you have to follow the guidelines. Otherwise, you'll be like inducing eating disorder in people. You'll be kind of looked at as inappropriately practicing.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. For you, do you feel like this is the way you will eat forever?
of course. I this is there's no doubt about it. I will never ever change this. And I don't have the kind of prosperity to change. I mean, I know myself, I know my family, I know how they suffered. I know, and I don't want to suffer. I don't want to have this chemotherapy or because most of them, my family died of cancers. So I don't want this anymore. And I find ways to make it more like creative way of eating by maybe spicing the food, maybe trying different seafoods. Um, I don't miss any carbs. I don't
Yeah.
miss. No, no, I don't miss carbohydrates at all. I just don't want.
Mm.
Even when I try to tell my friends, some of them they just don't take it. They say carbs are good for you. Carbs are important. God created a lot of carbs, but they don't listen much. But I feel like I need to tell them. Yeah.
But, do has anyone shown any interest?
Yes, my uncle, uh, his wife she had fibromyalgia. He lives in Australia, and then I advised them about carnivore, and she's healing now. And her doctor said, "What did you do?" I mean, even my doctor, he said, "What did you do?" I'm not sure what is this. What did you do exactly? I tried to tell him, and then my dermatologist do continue doing what you're doing. And then my GB laughed at me, like he's laughing, like, "What did you do?" I told also my sisters, and I had one of them she's pre-diabetic. She's now better. They're not doing bio carnivore, they're doing ketovore. And the other sister was having a lot of mental health issues, a lot of medication, diabetes, and then she had depression since she's 7 years old, acute depression, and she was on a lot of antidepressant, but now she's gradually reducing it. Also, her insulin reduced from like 40 units to like 10 units in 3 months. So she reduced the insulin dose, and she lost weight, and she was very depressed to the point that she was talking to herself. And she was sometimes walking the street talking to herself. Now she improved dramatically. She reduced the insulin, she reduced the medication, and she doesn't have this kind of self talk anymore. So
Oh, that's fantastic.
yeah.
Um, so based on your experience, if someone asked you about going on carnivore or going on the lion diet, what would you recommend?
Based on my experience to family members, to friends, I will recommend carnivore. But when I'm in a professional setting, I can't say this. I can't. I feel bad if I start someone on steroid. I feel bad. I feel extremely bad. I try to say to them, even I have a doctor, a friend who came to consult me, like in my clinic, and then um, I try to kind of maybe try low carb diet, and then but sometimes I don't. Sometimes they listen, but I can't say carnivore. I can't say this. Yeah, it will be kind of inducing eating disorder. Like my supervisor is telling me, I we have to have a balanced diet. I can't say it frankly.
When you see patients, what's the most common problem that they have, like, for chronic diseases?
The most common is the all the illnesses that I see, all the illnesses, either glucose metabolism in abnormality, lack of proper detox, or sensitivity to gluten and dairy. So glucose metabolism abnormality will be kind of diabetes, will be kind of hypertension, heart problems, arthritis everywhere. Will be a kind of cancers, because cancer live on glucose as well. So if you don't have proper glucose metabolism, then you'll spike glucose, and spiking glucose and insulin resistance can increase insulin, can lead to proliferation and creation of cancers. And so either they have glucose metabolism abnormality in the form of all the metabolic problems, or they have lack of detox, causing also all the metabolic issues, from insulin sensitivity to cancers to diabetes um, to heart problems, or sensitivity to gluten and dairy. And these patients have all the autoimmune condition you can think of, if they are more sensitive to dairy and gluten. And these three things are based on the genetic makeup, lead to either these three problems, which is eliminated basically in carnivore based on your susceptibility or genetic background, either cause cancer or metabolic problems or autoimmune conditions. So some humans are immune system is more active, and then they have autoimmune conditions. Some others immune system is less active, they have cancers. Some others, they don't have both, but they have metabolic problems like hypertension, heart disease, um, diabetes. So all the condition I see daily stem from these three things: either lack of proper glucose metabolism, or lack of proper detox, or gluten and dairy.
It's terrible. The just our diet is causing so many problems for everyone, right?
And no one is the. I mean, most of the consultants in the hospitals and these, they don't they don't believe in anything except in medicine, in giving a medicine, but they don't believe in other things, and very arrogant. Most of them a little bit on the autistic spectrum, and thinking they are genius people, and no one knows anything like them, and they're arrogant. My father was one of them. He was not arrogant, but he was too much kind of focused on what he studied. My mom was toward ADHD spectrum. She was more creative. But my father was a kind of, he can't, you can't discuss with him something that he studied and prove the opposite. He's too much, he was extremely intelligent, but very much believing in the science he studied. So it's just spectrum of human beings. Some human beings are more open-minded, they are more creative, they are more open to change, they're more kind of curious about learning. Some others you can't. It's impossible to teach them anything or
Yeah.
change what they studied. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. So, Nuran, how can people reach out to you? Do you have any social media or website or way of getting in contact?
Yes, I have my LinkedIn, and they can reach me via email as well. Yeah, my email is nouran992012 at yahoo.com.
I'll link to both of those in the show notes. Nuran, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story, and really happy to hear that you got rid of the vitiligo and you're doing so well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.